Stencil was created by the Ionic Framework team to help build faster, more capable components that work across all major frameworks. In this series, we're going to deep dive into using Stencil as a way to create custom web components. If you're unfamiliar with what web components are, check out my previous series where we look at and review the most popular web component tools and frameworks currently out. I've linked the playlist in the description below, make sure you check it out. Stencil isn't just another JavaScript framework and doesn't try to compete with other popular frameworks like React, Angular, or Vue. Instead, Stencil is a compiler that generates web components, or more specifically, custom elements. It combines the best concepts of these popular frameworks into a simple build time tool. Stencil takes features such as virtual DOM, async rendering, reactive data binding, TypeScript, and JSX, then generates standards-based web components with these features baked in. These components can be used in any JavaScript project, regardless of framework. Stencil's goal is not to become or be seen as a framework, but rather to provide the great developer experience and tooling expected from a framework, while using web standards within the browser at runtime. The team has a few main objectives. Firstly, components generated by Stencil are built on top of web components, so they should work in any major framework or with no framework at all. This is achieved by maintaining web standards. The benefit of this is that we can learn and adopt a standard API documented everywhere, rather than custom framework APIs that constantly change. Secondly, by using a compiler, Stencil should be able to analyze component code as input and generate optimized components as an output. Instead of requiring complete rewrites of components as browsers evolve, the Stencil compiler should continue to make optimizations. This allows us to create future-proof components while staying up to date on the latest optimizations without having to start over. One of the most important goals of Stencil is to live in the intersection of having great framework features and tooling during development, whilst generating future-proof web standard code rather than custom framework-specific code. The final objective the Ionic team have set out to achieve with Stencil is to support as many browsers as possible. For the small minority of browsers that don't support modern browser features and APIs, Stencil should automatically polyfill them. The good news is that most modern APIs required by Stencil are already shipped out of the box. Web components are a set of standardized browser APIs centered around the custom elements v1 spec, a cross-browser way that essentially allows us to define and create new HTML tags. Custom elements are natively supported in Chrome, Firefox, and Safari, including iOS. Support in Edge is currently in development. For browsers without native support, a small polyfill helps developers use custom elements seamlessly, and with little performance overhead, a Stencil uses a dynamic loader to load the custom elements polyfill only on browsers that need it. Stencil is a toolchain for building reusable, scalable design systems. A design system consists of UI components and a clearly defined visual style. It's made up of both code and design artifacts. There's a lot that goes into creating UI components. Performance, accessibility, cross-platform capabilities, and UX all play into creating an amazing experience. By using the web component standard, UI components built with Stencil allow us to work on any platform, device, framework, and across teams and projects using different tech stacks. During the rest of the series, we're going to create a component using many of the different tools that Stencil provides. We'll learn about JSX and TypeScript, using lifecycle methods and emitting events, testing and debugging, and finally, easily sharing your components between projects. Make sure to hit like and subscribe so you don't miss the next video. See you in the next one.